Chair Homendy, you mentioned in your testimony that it is your mission to basically advise, take data from serious incidents, and then make recommendations. Though you have no authority to implement those, you have no authority to enforce such a recommendation. So let's go back to the mid-air collision that happened back on January the 29th. It involved a helicopter, and we have up to that point had a lot of helicopter traffic up and down the Potomac, and particularly on what we now know as Route 4. But there had been recommendations, I'm assuming, made previously about the combination of helicopter traffic and passenger jet service flying into and out of Reagan National Airport. Had there been recommendations on helicopter traffic, specifically with regard to Route 4, which is right across the Potomac?
We had not issued any recommendations regarding Route 4, but certainly as part of this investigation, that is one of our big focuses.
So when you did your investigation, there were some pretty alarming conclusions made. Perhaps most alarming to me was the number of times, and I think this went back to like 2021, I can't remember, but 4 or 5 years, that the number of times where the separation horizontally and the separation vertically was very dangerous. And as I understand it, in vertical separation, less than 75 feet. So can you speak to the conclusions that your team has come up with in researching serious incidents prior to?
Yes, and what we did is we looked at FAA surveillance data and then voluntary reporting system data. So that's reporting from pilots, reporting from air traffic control. Those are voluntary reporting systems. And then there's a mandatory reporting system for occurrences in air traffic control. And what the data showed us is that there were 15,214 close proximity events from 2021 through 2024 at DCA between helicopters and planes.
When federal agencies respond to your recommendations across the spectrum of them, not just particularly this case, what are the hesitancies involved in? Because I'm assuming they don't accept all the recommendations. They don't implement all of the recommendations. What are the various, and I'll use the word excuses, but what are the various reasons why many of the things that are recommended by the NTSB never find their way into certain protocols?
Sometimes they'll use cost.
Cost.
That they'll say the cost is not justified by the benefits. I will say one thing that we're looking at as part of this investigation is ADSB out and ADSB in. ADSB out is required for commercial aircraft and has been since 2020, but ADSB in is not required. We've been on record since 2008 that ADSB in should be mandated, but the FAA has used cost as a reason not to mandate that. What that would have done or could have done, and we'll look at that as part of this investigation, is the CRJ, the plane, had ADSB out. It did not have ADSB in, though American does have some Airbus planes that do have ADSB in that could have provided them some information about the helicopter positioning and flight path. But that information was not available to them. We'll look at how ADSB in could have helped as well as out, including in air traffic control throughout our investigation.
Of all of the data-driven conclusions that were made, including the vertical and horizontal separation, what was most alarming to you?
I think what is most alarming to me, well, two things, that you had reporting over years. In fact, there was reporting there was data going back to 2011 that traffic collision alerts were going off monthly as a result of close proximity to helicopters, and that's from 2011 through 2024. And so for me, all this data is being collected by FAA from operators, from others, from voluntary reporting systems. Where is that data going to trend potential accidents and incidents in the future? The next accident is in the data right now. And what are we doing to figure out what that is? The other most alarming to me is how nobody figured out, based on the glide slope going into runway 33, that if you look at the helicopter route, that there's only 75 feet of separation between a plane coming in to runway 33 max. That's 75 feet max. That route doesn't have lateral boundaries. And in fact, in this case, the helicopter was to the right of the route. So it's a very small margin for error.
Thank you. Mr. Clyburn.